Late at night, when most office buildings shut down and the city outside feels like it's taking a breath between one day and the next, people don't usually think twice about using an elevator. Just hit the button, step inside, go where you need to go. But I learned the hard way that routine things can hide the most terrifying truths. And the ghost on the 4th floor elevator is one I'll never forget, because it didn't start as a ghost story at all. It began as just another night shift at a company I'd only been with for 2 weeks. The kind of corporate place that looks polished during the day, but feels strangely hollow after 9 p.m. Like something essentially is with the employees. Something warm. Something alive. I was the junior IT tech. The guy they called when keyboards stopped working or someone's software locked up. And because I was new and eager, they stuck me with the late-night maintenance schedule, which meant walking around a mostly empty 12-story building, fixing little issues while the rest of the world slept. The building wasn't too old, maybe 20 years, but it felt older at night. The lights buzzed a little. The vents hummed like a giant breathing creature, and every sound echoed through long hallways that were too clean, too quiet. Expectant. Around midnight, I needed to head up to the 6th floor to run a security patch on an analytics server. So I walked to the elevator, pressed the button, and waited. When the door slid open, something felt off. Immediately, not enough to scare me yet, but enough to raise that tiny instinctive alertness. Like the feeling you get when someone stands behind you, but you're trying to convince yourself they not. The lights inside the elevator flickered once, just a quick dimming. But instead of stepping out, the empty car just sat there waiting for me in a silence that felt a little too heavy. I pushed the feeling aside, stepped in, hit floor 6, leaned back against the rail, and pulled out my phone. The doors closed. The elevator jerked slightly upward, and as it passed the 3rd floor, it suddenly slowed, like someone else had pushed the call button. But the doors didn't open at the 3rd floor. Instead, they kept closing and opening halfway, as if the elevator couldn't decide whether to let someone in or keep someone out. I frowned, hit the close door button, and after a full 5 seconds of stubborn hesitation, the elevator finally continued. Then, without warning, it stopped again hard enough that my phone slipped from my hand, and when I looked at the floor display, my stomach tightened. We were stopped at the 4th floor, even though the button wasn't pressed, and I hadn't felt anyone else call for it. The doors slid open with an unnatural smoothness, revealing a hallway that looked darker than it should have been. The overhead lights were on, but dimmer, like they were operating on backup power even though the building hadn't lost electricity. I leaned forward slightly, cautious but curious. Because the hallway wasn't empty, there was a woman standing about 15 feet away, facing the elevator. But her head was slightly tilted down so I couldn't see her face. Just long black hair falling in front of it, and the outline of a plain gray office dress. I thought maybe she was a cleaning staff member or someone from a late shift. So I started to say, "Hey, are you okay?" But the moment the words left my mouth, she shifted, not stepped, not walked, just shifted. Like one frame in reality jumped forward to veranda. Now she was only 8 feet away. I didn't see her move. She was just suddenly there, closer. Her chin lifted just enough that I could tell she was staring directly at me from behind that curtain of hair. Every instinct in my body screamed to hit the door or close button, but my arm wouldn't move. It felt like my muscles locked up, like something in the air around me had thickened, holding me in place. The lights in the hallway flickered, and with each flicker, she seemed to twitch closer. Not walking, just glitching forward like a corrupted video file. When she was 4 feet from the elevator entrance, her hands rose slow, trembling, and I finally slammed my hand onto the controls, jamming the close door button over and over until the elevator groaned and the doors dragged shut, inch by painful inch, even as her fingers stretched toward the gap. The last thing I saw before the doors sealed was her face, not hidden, not blank, but impossibly pale, with eyes that looked like dark wells, wide and unfocused, staring through me with a kind of hollow desperation I can't describe. The elevator shot upwards so fast my ears popped, and when the doors opened on the 6th floor, I practically ran out. I kept telling myself, I imagined it, that maybe she was just someone working late. Maybe the lighting messed with my perception. Maybe I was tired, but none of those explanations settled the panic twisting in my gut. Still, I finished my work as fast as I could, pretending everything was fine. Around 1:30 a.m., I headed back toward the elevator to go down to the lobby. But when I reached the doors, a maintenance sign had been placed in front. Elevator temporarily out of service. I didn't question it. I just took the stairs, But the experience didn't end there, not even close. The next morning, exhausted and replaying the night in my head, I asked another tech, a guy named Harris, who'd been there for years, if he knew what was up with the 4th floor. He went still completely, still like someone hit pause on him. Did something happen? And then he walked away like he regretted saying even that much. Over the next week, I started noticing things. Co-workers getting weirdly silent whenever the 4th floor came up, security guards refusing to patrol that level alone, and cleaning staff who avoided it altogether unless the sun was fully out. I couldn't shake the memory of that woman, the way she didn't walk, but appeared closer every time the lights flickered. So one afternoon, while the building was full and the daylight made me feel braver, I forced myself to ride the elevator to the 4th floor. When the doors opened, the hallway looked normal. Tout normal. Bright lights, clean carpet, people working behind glass-walled offices. It felt impossible that the same place had looked so wrong at night. I found a janitor setting up a cleaning cart and casually asked, "Hey, do you guys ever work the night shift up here?" He looked at me with confusion that turned into something like discomfort. "No," he said. "Nobody cleans his floor after 10. I asked why, and he just shook his head. "You don't want to see her." That word, her, hit me like water. I wanted to ask more, but the man shut down completely, wheeled his cart away, and wouldn't make eye contact again. That night, I debated whether to quit the job altogether. But before I could decide, something happened that made the decision for me. Around 11:45 p.m., right as I finished a repair on the 3rd floor, I heard the elevator behind me ding softly. I wasn't waiting for it. No one had called it. The doors opened on their own. And inside, the floor display was glowing even though the elevator was on 3. The car was empty, or at least I thought it was, until the lights flickered inside the cab and I saw her reflection in the back mirror panel, standing in the corner behind the silver handrail, head low-weared, body perfectly still like a forgotten mannequin. But she wasn't physically in the car, only her reflection was. I froze. I couldn't breathe. She slowly lifted her head in the reflection, and even though the elevator itself was empty, her eyes in the mirror locked directly onto mine. The overhead lights in the hallway flickered, and with each flicker, her reflection got closer to the front of the elevator, closer to the doors, closer to me. I forced myself to step back, slowly, quietly, as if moving too fast would trigger something I couldn't survive. When the lights steadied again, the reflection vanished. The elevator door slid shut. The display changed to show the car going down to the lobby, and then without stopping back up toward 4, I left immediately. I didn't even finish the shift. The next morning, when I told Harris what happened, his face lost all color. He said, "She shows herself to people she wants something from, usually humans." When I asked who she was, he sighed like someone finally giving up a secret they hoped to keep forever. 2 years ago, he said, a woman who worked on the floor stayed late. She got trapped in the elevator around midnight. Security footage shows her panicking, then screaming, then collapsing. Heart failure. They say she died alone with the doors opening and closing, like the elevator couldn't decide whether to let her out. He paused, but some people think she never left. I quit that afternoon, but even now, months later, I dream about that elevator, about the way those doors open on for all on their own, about the way her face twitches closer with every flicker of the lights, and sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, hearing that soft elevator ding in my apartment hallway, like she's still trying to reach me, still trying to show me something, still trying to drag me back to that 4th floor. And the worst part, a friend who still works there told me last week that the elevator has been acting up against stopping on for even when no one presses the button, opening its doors to an empty hallway. Or so they say it's empty. But if you ever find yourself alone in an office building after midnight, and you hear an elevator ding behind you, even though you didn't call it, don't turn around. Don't they step inside. And whatever you do, never let it take you to the 4th floor.